What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another installment of Honest and Uneducated, the show where we talk about anything from movies, movie news, video games, comic books, television, you name it. Just all sorts of fun entertainment, pop culture stuff like that. With that, though, I will say this week it's been kind of a light news week, but not light in the DC world. So, like we got a lot of DC stories to cover. We got images of like James Gunn's Suicide Squad came out. We got some Batman news, some Ben Affleck Batman news. This has been a lot. Maybe a light news week, but it's not been a light DC news week. So, looking forward to getting into that because I'm a big DC fan. And then, but joining me today to get into all these topics and everything is the one and only Rik Metz. How you doing today, Rik?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. I got some stuff to say about this, some of these upcoming stories here. So I'm pretty excited about a couple of them. And joining us again is Jon Knight himself. How you doing today, Jon?
I'm good, man. I've got some stuff to say too, so I'm ready to get into it.
Yeah, there are definitely gonna be some words here. I could go on for like the first set of stuff we're gonna talk about here, which I'll get into in just a second. Because first, I want to let everybody know if you don't always have time to watch this here on YouTube, I do put the audio only editions up on podcast network, so you can go get it on Amazon Podcast, iTunes, whatever podcast network of choice you have. You can go find it there and listen to the audio only version. You can also submit topics and questions to the show, and we will, make them main topics, respond to you in some way, or just talk about it on a live stream or something like that by emailing us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. That's honestanduneducated@gmail.com. But with that down out of the way, guys, let's get into this first topic. This first topic here that we're gonna get into is some DCEU news has come out that Jared Leto's Joker. I'm gonna kind of combine these three stories and we can just kind of go at it because there's three things that kind of go hand in hand with this. So we got Jared Leto's Joker returning, but returning in the Snyder Cut, which is interesting because he wasn't in the original version of Justice League by any means, and doesn't make a whole lot of sense as to what he would be doing, like the Joker as a character, what he would do, in the Justice League. So I don't know. We'll get into that in a minute too, but the same concept goes for Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke is now also returning in the Snyder Cut, which again, I don't really know what Deathstroke could be adding to, the Justice League film, because we know, despite the Snyder Cut being like its own thing in a lot of ways, the majority of the film was obviously already shot when the original Justice League film came out. I know some things got recut and reshot by Joss Whedon, by virtue of Warner Brothers wanting all that to happen and everything, but the concept of the movie, the basic principle of the movie is like apocalypse, Steppenwolf, Darkseid, invasion on Earth. So where would Joker and Deathstroke really fall into that equation?
Yeah, where would they fit?
Yeah, what would they really be adding? And I have a theory on it, which goes into this other thing, this other third topic, and we're going to unwrap all this stuff in a minute. But there's been rumors that Ben Affleck has signed on to do like HBO Max exclusive stuff as Batman. So it's rumors, and it hasn't been confirmed by any no varieties or deadlines, and no reputable sources have kind of confirmed this. Ben hasn't confirmed it or anything like that. But this harkens back to some stuff that I've been wanting to happen for I don't know, years at this point. But even on the show, like I've said this numerous times, like it'd be great to finally get that Ben Affleck Batman solo movie. Like that's like Ben Affleck was my favorite Batman. I know that's controversial to say, but he was my favorite Batman, and what he was planning on doing with his Batman movie had me very excited. With Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke was going to be the main bad guy in it, and all this stuff. And I was just excited to see it, and not to mention Ben Affleck is one of the best working directors right now. In all honesty, like he's made some incredible movies, so I just wanted to see him write, direct, and star in a Batman movie, because that's just be kismet. So with that, if you want to, like, even that aside, but with this rumor going along, What I've been saying, my only conclusion to why Joker would in Joker and Deathstroke would be included in the Snyder Cut of Justice League all of a sudden would be if they are actually in fact going to be setting up Ben's Batman stuff. You know what I mean? That's really the only thing I can think of because like I said, what is Joker going to add to the Justice League story? What is Deathstroke going to add to the Justice League story? Because the story is the Justice League fighting off the forces of Apocalypse. So their inclusion, I don't know, like why it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, like what they would actually be used for. And then the story stuff aside, when you actually just think about like Jared Leto and Joe Manganiello coming back at all, like why would they come back to do like one scene or just what kind of like what I said, like what could they be doing and why would both of them come back if like you know Deathstroke's not going to have anything else to do later on down the road? Why would either of them want to come back and do it unless they're going to have more to do? Because
I don't see that
yeah,
being the case. I think you're right with the way you're thinking about it.
right. So what that's pretty much my theory though, is like the only reason if I would like could put any words on it, because I feel like I'm just hogging the mic here. So I want to hear what you guys have to say. But my theory, like, it only makes sense to me that they're gonna be setting up more stuff with both of these characters, for instance, like Joker and Deathstroke, because we obviously knew like if the Ben stuff is true, they already had plans for Deathstroke in some capacity. So the only other thing I'll touch on real quick, and then I want to hear your guys' thought on this, is like with this rumored Ben Affleck Batman like series or movie, this HBO Max deal or whatever, it goes on to say that the rumors are showing that it's going to delve into the backstory of Robin and explore Robin's death and like how that affected Ben Affleck's Batman and everything. So that actually kind of fits if you're talking about Jared Leto coming back and them setting more stuff up. So that does add, because that's kind of where my headspace was going once I heard Joker was coming back. I was like, but why would Joker need to come back? He would serve no point to the Justice League story. But then when the news of the Deathstroke stuff came out, I was like, they have to be setting more stuff up to do with them in the future. Like maybe Ben Affleck finally get that movie and blah blah blah. The only thing that makes sense. And if they're going to explore more of the backstory and do like a kind of like a Snyder cut version of Ben Affleck's Batman, like give him like instead of doing the Ben Affleck Batman movie, if he does like a 4-part miniseries or something that lets him even expand more on his Batman character and explore what happened to Robin, then Jared Leto's inclusion would make total sense because as we see from the suit here, Joker had something to do with this Robin's death at some point.
You'd think.
You know what I mean? So this all is like very exciting for me. Rumors, at least on this Ben Affleck stuff, but in all honesty, it's the only thing that really makes sense as to why Deathstroke and Joker would be coming back. In my opinion, I don't see what purpose they could serve in Justice League by themselves. So, what do you guys think here? Am I crazy for thinking that I would almost, if I had to like put money down on them actually like having future plans with both those characters, I would put the money down on it because I don't see what else. I don't know why they would come back just to do a throwaway scene, like because Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke, for instance, we've only seen him in an end credit scene in the Justice League movie. That was obviously to set something up. It's not like he hasn't been in his own thing. It wouldn't be like Superman coming in at the end of a movie just to do it, right? Like Stan Lee cameo or something. Like that's kind of a different thing. Like why would they come back if they don't have future plans?
I think for one, it's awesome that Deathstroke would be coming back, and I sincerely hope that they definitely expand on that role a little bit because who doesn't like Deathstroke? I mean, come on. And the Joker part's cool too. So I hope you're right. That's what I would say. I hope you're right.
Well, yeah, I want to be right because I want that Ben Affleck Batman movie.
Yeah.
And plus, it would be good to see, like, if they were to actually do the backstory thing. If the rumors, if we want to go and say it's going to be true that they're going to do some mini series like for Ben's Batman and explore what happened to Robin and everything, that's a pretty interesting like story in its own, like in itself. But that's new. Like that's the thing too. Like this is obviously like new stuff for the Snyder Cut. And like I said, there's like no reason. What is Joker gonna do about Darkseid or Steppenwolf or even a parademon? Like Joker ain't going toe to toe with parademon. Like he would only serve to set more stuff up with Batman, nothing else, right?
I may be wrong, but I thought the tease at the end of Justice League with Deathstroke and Luther on Luther's boat, I thought that was originally a Snyder scene. That Snyder had originally done that, and they went ahead and threw it in at the end of that movie, even though Whedon had done it. And I'm trying my best to recollect here. It's been a while since I've seen that movie, and I think I only saw it the one time. But I believe Luther says something about it's time for an Injustice League, or it's time for me to have my own league, or something.
Yeah, he says
which
it's
clearly
time for us to have a league of our own.
a league of our own. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. I knew there was a league reference in there he made about. So it very well could be him setting up an Injustice League. In which case, if maybe this news isn't so much about these characters and how they influence Snyder's cut, but maybe they influence Snyder's follow-up to whatever this is. Maybe they're already discussing with Snyder what's our future project's going to look like. You know, if they've got Ben signed up for Affleck, a Batfleck series, maybe they're also trying to get Snyder to do another Justice League Part 2 miniseries or whatever.
That would be cool.
And maybe the reason that this Snyder cut has gotten so, I don't know what the right word, inflated, it's now this 4-hour series, is because he's reworking the story to actually finish the Apocalypse stuff within the confines of this series so that they can move to an Injustice series after this, or something along those lines. Because I do think that you're exactly right, that they're not going to pay these guys to come back, because they're already working with a budget, a pretty big budget from what they've said. And I don't think they're going to just start throwing random people in just for the sake of throwing random people in. I think HBO, this is still an unproven commodity to HBO. As much as they know there's a vocal fan base out there, and they have a good deal of confidence that fan base will support this. There's no proof of this yet. There's no data to show that it's going to boost subscriptions. It's going to retain subscriptions. So
That's true.
Until they're able to actually do that, you know, I don't see them throwing that money at these things just for the sake of throwing money at it.
Right. And that's the thing too, like the Snyder cut in general, like you said, like it's not even a proven thing. And like going in with that, when for both Man of Steel, BVS, and Justice League, even though it wasn't really Zack Snyder's Justice League, but with the two films that he did, you know, he was 100% responsible for, Man of Steel and BVS. Half the fans didn't like it, and half the critics didn't like it. They were both divisive movies. You know what I mean? Like neither one of them were unanimously loved. Like I don't know why, because Man of Steel is amazing.
Man of Steel was great.
Man of Steel is
So good.
incredible movie. BVS had its issues, but I liked it overall. So it's odd to like for anyone to assume that like all of a sudden everyone's just gonna like this version of Justice League, you know, because like
his armor looks so good in that picture.
Justice League, like what happened in Justice League aside, like it stands to reason that this you know Zack Snyder version is going to be just as divisive as the other ones, rather than all of a sudden everybody, all the critics who didn't like what Zack Snyder was doing, now they love it for whatever reason. You know, that I mean, it could happen because he could just make an incredible like movie, but how likely is that if he's already like it was so divisive with the other two? Like, so it is kind of interesting that they would want to go forward with like setting anything up more to do with the Snyderverse, just because it has been as divisive as it is. As much as like I love Man of Steel, and I'm still waiting on Man of Steel 2, Warner Brothers. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. But
second that, yeah. Let's
like,
get that going, Warner Brothers.
Yeah, come on. Like Man of Steel is so good, dude. It's just so good.
I know
Plus,
you
Henry Cavill is such a good Superman.
He's
You know,
perfect.
I just he is the perfect Superman for this era. And
Mhm.
why in the world they don't just how they're dumb enough not to recognize that, and not just pump him into whatever Superman role they can put him in every DC movie. I don't know. That just
It's like they don't wanna well, the only reason they don't, though, is just because, like, Man of Steel was so divisive. But that's
Yeah.
the thing is, like, even despite that being so divisive, there is, like you don't hear anybody out there, like, not wanting Henry to be Superman anymore.
no,
You know
it's
what I mean?
never about Henry. It's about
Yeah.
that story and about, the violence at the end of it and Superman killing somebody. But everybody seems, I mean, at least as far as I know, everybody seems to love Henry Cavill in that role, and
Yeah.
how they can't make a successful super. That would have been like Marvel deciding after Iron Man 1, we don't care for Robert Downey Jr. as much, or we wish he would do better in the role, so we're going to look other ways. It's like, why? You've got the perfect actor cast.
Yeah.
Why
It
would you ever
Henry Cavill was
not?
born for
Right.
that role.
It's like just
Yeah,
keep they should be doing more. That's why it always bummed me out too, like when they had the Shazam cameo, like Henry couldn't come in to do that,
That's what I'm
just to
saying.
show him. Like they had literally like his suit just standing there, it was him, but it was supposedly scheduling conflicts and why he couldn't do it, but like it wasn't
that's a
scheduling
one-day
conflicts.
shoot. That's
Yeah.
you can't tell me they can't go on location wherever he is and get him to do that one
Yeah.
shot.
It's
That's
because it's BS. It was because of
yeah.
the contract stuff. Like
Yeah.
they don't know if they want to move forward with doing more stuff, and if he was going to come back, they'd have to give him a contract. And it's just like, dude, he's perfect as Superman. Lock him in.
Yeah, just make him
Everybody loves him
Superman.
as Superman, even if they didn't like the Man of Steel movie. I don't know anybody out there who's like that. Henry Cavill just really sucks as Superman, though. It's like, nah, he's Superman.
He is Superman.
He
Yeah.
is Superman. But the
There's
other thing
Warner
too.
Brothers. Oh,
What
go
were you
ahead.
saying? No,
No,
because
no, go ahead.
I'm gonna switch
Okay,
topics so I
well,
don't.
Warner Brothers is just they're all over the map right now, and part of that I think is the corporate structure. They just were recently purchased by AT&T,
Oh
so
yeah.
you've got AT&T coming in and putting their mark on Warner Brothers and how they want things run, and it sounds like from some of the articles I've read that AT&T is really like they trimming the fat or whatever,
Mhm.
like trying to make the company leaner but still make the same profits. Um, so they've got all that turmoil going on, but it's like they don't have a clear vision of what they want to do. And right now, it honestly to me it appears that they're trying to separate the DC EU as it was known, away from the theaters and maybe make it more of an HBO Max deal, and then leave the theater stuff for more of these standalone, kind of unconnected movies like Joker, um, you know, Suicide Squad. We'll see how much that ties in, but I think they're trying to diversify more and not have things be so interconnected in at least in the theater.
Yeah, and that's actually exactly what I was gonna segue into, was what if, like, I think it would behoove both HBO Max and, I mean, I guess really just HBO Max. Well, yeah, it would behoove HBO Max especially, I think, but it would also really help the overall direction of Warner Brothers and their DC film franchise, because as we've seen and as you've mentioned, like they made Joker and that made $1 billion. They made Aquaman for all intents and purposes, even though it was Jason Momoa, it had one reference to the Justice League movie, and if you literally would have blinked or yawned, you would have missed it because they just mentioned Steppenwolf one time, and that's the only connection it had was they mentioned Steppenwolf. So like it was for all intents and purposes a completely standalone movie. Then the Wonder Woman movie, pretty much a standalone movie. So it seems like they're having success obviously when they just focus on these standalone movies. So it could
Mhm.
make I feel like it would make sense for them if they want to continue the Snyderverse to make it an HBO Max like exclusive place for it to produce that content, because that's a huge draw, even though it's unproven how successful it's going to be. Like we were mentioning before, like if the Snyder Cut, if all of Zack Snyder's movies were as divisive as they are, it might not really make a whole lot of sense for them to dump a ton of money into, to expanding upon that in HBO Max. But at the same time, like HBO Max is going to be is kind of starving for content in a lot of ways, and I feel like that'd be a huge draw if they were able to say like, we're going to continue on with Ben Affleck's Batman and a 4-part miniseries or something along those lines, and then maybe even branch out and do like, because they are doing the Green Lantern thing, and we don't know if that's going to be connected into anything. I don't know if it would even connect into a Batman thing. I don't see why it would, but like, I don't know. Like HBO Max could use some stuff, and like I don't really think that the Warner Brothers needs to do like the MCU stuff. Like they can do their own thing, and I don't
Yeah.
know. You know what I mean?
Well, I'll just add, I think that when it comes to streaming, that you have not only the need for content to draw people in and have people watch, but you also need to have content that people will stick around for, that people want to
For sure.
always have access to.
Right.
So for me, for example, I love the Marvel stuff. I love all the Marvel shows and stuff. We've talked about this before. I have a Disney Plus subscription and I've had it since the jump because I want all that Marvel stuff. I want to be able to access it whenever I want. So I don't drop in and out based on when the series, just because a new series is coming out, I want to see, and then when I'm done, I drop it. I keep it year round because I want to be able to, like, if I feel like watching the animated Spider-Man show from the '90s, I want to be able to pull that up and start watching it.
Yeah.
And I think maybe what DC's thinking by shuffling the Snyderverse stuff off to HBO Max is that, and I'm not saying this in a derogatory way in any shape or form, but the Snyderverse fans, all these people that were clamoring for the Snyder cut for the what 3-4 years since Justice League came out, they're so rabid, they're so dedicated to this particular vision that maybe Warner Brothers is saying, okay, they may not cover the cost of this stuff in month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, but in month 12, when they've stuck around for 12 months so that they have access to this whenever they want, maybe that's where they start seeing the returns, and that's where that cost benefit analysis is coming from. Just the
Yeah.
rabid nature and the understanding that these people are going to stick with the service as long as they have the content.
For sure.
No, and that's the thing. Like, I don't know. I would be. I would love to see. And you have some like variables in there though too, because like Wonder Woman is coming out in theaters. Obviously, Wonder Woman 84 and everything, and it's obviously a part of the Snyderverse in some ways, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we'd still have that. Then like Suicide Squad 2 is also like its own thing. But it's tied in, but it's also like kind of its own thing going to theaters. I don't know like really where else they would go with it on expanding on more of the Snyderverse stuff, because Flash, Ezra Miller's Flash, is also having his own movie come out. So they're gonna like presumably do like a theater release for that as well. So like, other than the Ben Affleck Batman like stuff and like going on and doing like 4, 6, 8-part miniseries, just really expanding into that. I don't really know what else they could do with it, in all honesty, like other than the Batman thing. Like as far as like
Well,
exclusively continuing the Snyderverse, unless they did a
you've got
follow up to Justice League.
you've got Cyborg, who's still off the table, who doesn't have a major motion picture. So, and Zach apparently has a real fondness for Ray Fisher in that character, and called him the heart of his version,
Right.
the Justice League. So maybe there's something that could be done with him. Plus, you've also, I mean, all the talk is that the Flash movie, Flashpoint, or whatever they end up calling it, is going to blow open the multiverse and have these different iterations of these characters. So you can have Wonder Woman 84 and Gal Gadot, Gal Gadot playing Wonder Woman on the big screen, but then you can also have the same version of her character in a Snyderverse miniseries or something like that. And so they could
Yeah.
run concurrently as long as people are willing to buy into the fact that while they're the same, they're also slightly different.
Yeah, no, and I could totally see if they just wanted to keep telling the like, because we all know like initially Justice League was supposed to be 2 parts. There was supposed to be 2 movies, and then Ben was going to have his movie. That was really the only. And then there was supposed to be like rumors initially that the Flash movie was going to be a Flash and Cyborg movie.
Yeah.
That kind of went. Like, Flash movie's been through like 8 different directors now, though, and been delayed for like almost as long as Black Adam is. I feel like at this point, but I mean, other than like I could see him maybe doing Justice League 2. Like it's just that's just like a huge venture, like expense wise, like for them to put on HBO Max and to not. I mean, I guess it really just depends on how they do it. Because like I said in the past, since they're doing this, the Snyder Cut as a series in the books, financially, they can technically, even if they're spending the same amount of money, they break it down per episode, so it looks better on the books for them as far as the
Sure.
expense goes. So, I mean, I guess if they wanted to do a Justice League 2, like a Snyder's like actual version of Justice League 2, and just continue that on. I mean, I'm totally on board with it. I would love to see, you know, the end of the
Apocalypse.
yeah, I'd love to see Apocalypse and Darkseid, and because we know Darkseid's gonna be in this version of Justice League in the Snyder Cut, but not that much. It was supposed to be like more in that second follow up is like at least what the rumors have been for it. So I would love to see that, and then obviously the end tag of you had commented on with Lex and Wade here, or Slade rather.
It's
Will-
Wade.
Yeah, Wade.
You get
'cause
Well,
that-
Wade was kind of.
He was a rip off of
Wade
Slade,
is
so
Slade,
it's
yeah.
like I mean, it's the
Wait,
same-
what? Who did come first? Slade, Wade?
Deathstroke.
Oh,
Deathstroke.
Deathstroke.
Okay, yeah.
Deathstroke is early 80s.
Yeah.
I believe Deadpool's early 90s.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
it's like
total ripoff.
it's a complete. They are completely different characters. It's just the look and the name was ripped
Sure.
off. Like,
Yeah.
because I mean that's
Mercenary.
yeah, completely
Exactly.
different. Like, but that's why it's kind of weird that they even went with that, because it's not like they made a carbon copy. Like, so it's like,
No.
why would?
I mean, you'd think they could come up with a different name. Like,
Yeah, you would think, but I don't know.
maybe they did it on purpose. I mean,
Maybe. I mean, he is a meta character, so they could have just done it for the shits and giggles of it.
Oh,
Who
for sure.
knows? But no, I would love to see like if they want to continue. I think it would be great for HBO Max to have something like that, right? Because HBO has always been successful, and everybody, Game of Thrones is on HBO, Sopranos, all these things. It's always been good, but HBO Max is still new. So like then, and they don't really have anything. There was like that Ridley Scott show that just came out. That was like they have a very small batch of exclusive things, and like they were really pushing. Especially we talked about this before, like when they were marketing HBO Max, they were leaning into like DC stuff and like it's all here, and like Barbera, they were advertising brands exclusively to say like this is where the only place you're gonna be able to get it is right here. They spent like $250 million on getting the rights for South Park. You know what I mean?
it's crazy.
Yes, insane stuff. But I could see continuing the Snyderverse as a very like lucrative on it for HBO Max, at least a very lucrative thing. Because like despite, because I do have to say too, like despite them being divisive, like Man of Steel and BVS, they still both made like I think Man of Steel made $600 to $700 million, and then BVS made a little over $800 million, and then
Yeah.
like Justice League was just it kind of bombed, but the movie, that aside, despite those 2 initial installments by Zack being as divisive as they were, they did make a ton of money. Like, because I know everyone expects like, oh, it didn't make $1 billion, so it wasn't successful. It's like, no, that's not really how it works. Like Man of Steel was made for probably around $200 million, and it made 6 or 7. Like it was a huge profit. It was a good thing. So I mean, I could totally see, at least in my mind, it being lucrative if they want to continue it, and if they keep the budget down and do like the 20 million per episode thing. If they went with that route, made them longer event things, because if they do like, because they're going to do like the week to week release for Snyder Cut and everything when it comes out, so like they could build up a lot of buzz and hype over the weeks of like doing the Snyder Cut thing, and then if they were to do a Justice League 2 like 4-part episode again, and they'd give like Ben, let him do a 4-part thing, it's like you're getting a month worth of content out of these things. And if they're going to be like super high produced with like the same quality that you would get in a feature film, I think would be like a huge boon for HBO Max. Like it'd just be like one more thing that you can just have like that exclusive draw to. There is some sort of clamoring for it. We've seen with all the release the Snyder Cut crew of people out there. So I think it'd be a good idea for them to move forward. In all honesty,
Oh, for sure.
like, I don't know what the chances are that would happen, but again, I don't see any other reason why you bring them back unless you're doing more with them. Like and these two people, like the Deathstroke and Joker, it makes no sense, like,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I got to cover on this, guys. You got anything else you want to add on it?
I think we
I think we covered everything.
Good deal. Well, then the question is, guys, what do you think about this news of Jared Leto's Joker coming back? We got Jared Leto's Joker's coming back. Deathstroke's coming back. Rumors of Ben Affleck, coming back as Batman for an HBO Max miniseries thing. In my mind, the fact that Deathstroke and Joker are coming back, it lends a lot more credence to this being, true in some way. So but that's just me. I don't see what other, again, what other reason? What's Jared Leto's Joker gonna do against Darkseid, and what's Deathstroke even gonna do, against Darkseid? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense for them to be in it unless they were gonna set up something with Batman. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you're kind of leaning in that same vein as me, and if you think that HBO Max is gonna continue the Snyderverse stuff beyond Justice League, because like all signs are kind of pointing to that at this point, and we're all kind of in agreement that's really the only place they seem to be going with it. But whatever it is, guys, you let us know down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So our next topic we're gonna get in here today is it's sticking in line with all the HBO Max stuff we were just talking about. I thought we might want to cover the fact that HBO Max themselves have passed 28.7 million subscribers at this point. And the only reason I find this kind of interesting is kind of with what I was just saying before with them doing like the Snyderverse stuff and just having some more exclusive content and everything for HBO Max exclusively, is because it would really help boost their subscriber count. And what I find interesting about this is the fact that they're able to hit like this many subscribers with the platform, or the HBO Max is not even available on all platforms right now. So that was kind of the biggest takeaway that like I had with it. Because I mean, you still can't get it on Roku or Amazon, like Fire Sticks, which are the two most popular streaming devices. So the fact that they were able to hit almost 30 million subscribers, it's kind of mind-boggling.
That's pretty crazy.
Like,
That's a lot of subscribers.
because they're missing out on, like, I use a Fire Stick myself on my TVs because they're just is what it is. They were cheap and easy for me to get, and they work really well.
Yep.
And like it's really annoying because I have to either use my computer or turn on my PS4 to get HBO Max. So and I just looked too, and the like Disney at this point in time for Disney Plus, they're at about like 60 million almost, which is far beyond their projections. And I'm not sure. It's also odd that they're saying like this headline, for instance, is like revenue's down, but they have 28.7 million subscribers for HBO Max. Like, I don't know. I thought this was just kind of noteworthy though, because if I feel like if they could, one, get HBO Max available on other platforms like the Roku and Amazon Fire Sticks, this subscriber count would skyrocket with the inclusion of like some more exclusive content. You know what I mean? So I don't
Yep.
know. I just thought it was kind of noteworthy since you were just talking about the HBO Max stuff. I thought that was, I was just kind of blown away that they were even able to get that many subscribers.
Well, they need to
So-
definitely expand it to the other streaming services, like you said, and streaming devices.
Oh yeah,
That's silly why they wouldn't do that. Like certain people just can't even get it because they don't own the correct hardware or whatever. But
because of the money, which is
Well,
just
and-
stupid. Like, cause like
you get more money.
You can get the HBO app like on the Roku and stuff. Like their other stuff's already there. So the fact that they didn't get this contract shit ironed out prior to their new app going forward, the HBO Max is the replacement for HBO and everything. So the fact that they it's mind-boggling. You know what I mean? What were you gonna say, John?
Well, I was just going to say I just read an article this afternoon that said that currently Sony has announced what streaming services will be available on the PlayStation 5 when it releases in a couple weeks here, and HBO Max is also not included on their list of streaming, which is surprising because, like you just got done saying, it's available on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
Why in the world have they not gotten it figured out to where it's, or have they just not developed it to run on the new hardware? But if so, why would that not be a priority? Why would you not be
Yeah,
focused on getting
that's even more mind-boggling. Even from there's like PS5 is like reverse compatible with PS4 stuff, so there's no
Yeah.
way that app would function on it. Like,
Yeah, seriously.
that doesn't make any sense. So like I don't know what the problem is with. I don't know how the contract stuff go out and like what the money deals that have to be made for them to make their apps available on their platforms and everything. So I don't know how whatever they're asking, like these Amazon, Roku, or whoever Sony at this point, whatever their asking price is for developers to have like their apps be made and be made available on their stores. I don't see how it's not like they're probably just price gouging HBO. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sure it's probably a pretty flat rate. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like,
there's some give and take there too, because Amazon Fire Stick and Roku, whichever one gets HBO Max first, it's going to put the pressure on the other one to have it, because otherwise people will be like, when they're going to look, they're like, oh, well, I can get HBO Max, I can get all of them and HBO Max on the
Yeah.
Fire Stick, but I can't get it on Roku, so maybe I get the Fire Stick. So there's a little bit on both sides where both sides have to be willing to bend and give a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't know, dude. It just still I don't get like it. How is it not available on certain like you just it
Should be
it's
available on everything.
Yeah, it's only beneficial for HBO to make just do whatever they need to do to get it done. It's only hurting HBO for them to not have the deal done. For them to like when you're literally missing out on the two biggest platforms of streaming devices. More and more people, especially during like now time during the pandemic and everything, plenty of people are trying to stream content and watch content, on their TVs through their Rokus, through their Fire Sticks, yada yada yada. The fact that they won't just knuckle down and they're going to spend $70+ million on the Snyder Cut, but they can't pay whomever to make sure their HBO Max app is available on the two biggest streaming platforms. Kind of mind-boggling to me, but either way, it's pretty much just as mind-boggling to me that they were still managed to get about 30 million subscribers this quickly. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. That's
Well,
I guess
and maybe that's that's the leverage that they have against Amazon. And I don't know what the opening subscriber numbers are for things like how Disney Plus did, or how Peacock's doing, or how any of these other streaming services have popped up here in the past couple years. But maybe that's their leverage against Amazon, Roku, is be like, we'll do it for half of what you're asking, but we're doing fine right now, or we're at least hitting our internal numbers, so we're not in a rush to make it happen on your platforms.
Peacock apparently has 15 million.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm not sure.
That's
I'm
a lot.
assuming
Now, is that 15 million paid subscriptions, or is that just 15 million period? Because
That's a good
they
point.
also offer that free,
Right.
because I have a Peacock subscription, but it's just the free one, and I think I've used it once. So
It says sign up, so I don't know. It doesn't really say.
Yeah.
And
It's probably a mixture of both.
The site's wanting me to turn off my ad blocker. I hate when they do that.
I do too.
I just want like a quick number, man. But yeah, so I guess they had 10 to 15 million signups like relatively quickly. So
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think Disney Plus was kind of along the same track. I know they exceeded in the first 6 months. They pretty much had already hit what they thought they'd have in like a year or two. So like,
Okay.
and now at this point, they're already at about 60 million subscribers.
Well, and
And
they have Mandalorian out of the gate too. And like you were saying earlier in our previous segment, HBO Max hasn't had that big. I mean, Mandalorian is huge. That's a Star Wars saga series to
Mhm.
launch your platform with. And HBO Max hasn't had that. I mean, their claim to fame, like you said so far, was a Ridley Scott show that I know Ridley Scott is a big name in sci-fi, but he's not a household name the way Star Wars is.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
And so, for them to only be down for revenue to only be down 28%, when they missed their entire summer box office. I mean, their entire summer, most of spring, entire summer, and now most of fall box office is gone. And yet they still managed to only be down 28%. I think that goes to the power of the financial, um, I don't know what the word I'm looking for. It goes to the financial benefit of having that streaming platform that they were able to make up that much revenue.
Oh yeah, I hadn't even really thought about that too. Like the just Warner itself, like with the revenue being down, like obviously like the pandemic's a huge part of that. I mean, same with everybody, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely something to keep an eye on for sure. Because I'm curious. I'm curious how
Now,
it's going to turn around.
I also don't know. Maybe, and this is, I don't know, but Friends was always one of the biggest streaming shows on Netflix,
Yep.
and HBO Max now has Friends, so
Yeah.
it returned home, for lack of a better way to put it, to HBO Max. So maybe that drove some of that subscription base. I have a hard time believing that a 20-year-old show is driving that much subscription, but still, it definitely was a big deal that Netflix lost it, and there were a lot of people that were streaming it. So
Yeah, because they have that. They made moves to get that. Because that's the thing, though. Like you were saying, they didn't have anything like new content wise out the gate. It would have been a lot better for them. It like if they had like the Snyder Cut ready to go, and by the time they launched it, or
yeah,
something that the Green Lantern show, they would actually have gotten that
Yeah,
done. Just
something
have some tentpole HBO Max exclusive title.
ready to go out the
Yeah, because
gate.
at
Yeah.
this point, they're really like popular exclusive titles with stuff they took from the DC app.
yeah.
Doom Patrol and Harley Quinn. There's like the two, and I guess Titans now, but like Doom Patrol has just been much more unanimously liked.
Mhm.
I still have to get around to watching that. Have you watched Doom Patrol yet?
I've not. I'm interested in it, but
I've heard
I've
so
not
many
gotten a
good things
chance.
about it, and I just still
Yeah,
haven't got around to
same.
watching. Probably because I can't turn HBO Max on my Fire Stick. Probably why.
Probably will.
And but yeah, like if they would have had something like that, like Mandalorian, right out the gate, because that's the only reason I cared about having Disney Plus.
Oh, for
Like,
sure.
obviously, yeah, like my kids can watch the old stuff, but like, I mean, for actually signing up, the main reason I signed up was for Disney or for Mandalorian, and then the Marvel shows going forward that we're still waiting on. So WandaVision's coming out later though, so but that was the main draw, right? Like, and I think HBO Max still really needs that in some capacity. Like I think that's what's really like been holding it, other than it not being available on the larger platforms, them not having that, exclusive big name draw it has been detrimental to them because like other than Friends, they paid like $250 million for South Park exclusive rights to have South Park on HBO Max, and then they do have the which I thought this was odd though, but they have the Studio Ghibli films on there, which for American distribution was always done by Disney, if I'm not mistaken. So like they must have paid out the wazoo to get that stuff because like
You would think.
it's they have at least that going for them. I think HBO Max in the end could be a great platform because they have that whole like anime segment because of Crunchyroll. Because I guess
Mhm.
Warner owns some stakes in Crunchyroll or something to have it on there. I don't know the whole details behind it, but it's a very limited Crunchyroll library. They don't have like a ton of options on it. But if they were to bundle like the Crunchyroll in with HBO Max, like have like another tier up, so you have like the full library there, just like Disney does with Disney Plus, ESPN, and Hulu. I think that would be a big draw for them as well because like I would find a lot of use in that honestly if I knew that like I had an entire Crunchyroll library like, and I know my kids would too because they're really big in anime. Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, it'd be great to be able to turn it on and just know that like I have everything that I could possibly want anime wise on here, and then all the DC stuff, things like that. Like that's a big deal. But until they get to that point and have that kind of stuff, I don't know. I don't know how realistic it is to expect these numbers to get any higher for them, unfortunately. So I just hope at some point turn
Well,
this around.
I'm also curious too with these numbers, how many of those subscriptions, the HBO Max subscriptions, are just converted HBO Now or HBO Go subscriptions? How many
Well,
people had the streaming subscription to HBO and just were like, well, I get all the additional content if I switch over to Max, so here we go.
yeah, well, here's the thing. This article does break it down a little bit, and I can get into it here a little bit from what I see here. So it shows 25.1 million of them went through like wholesale agreements through their like cable providers in some capacity, or through like other platforms. It looks like too, because like you like Hulu, I guess you can add on to it in some way. I don't know how that works. But then 9.3 million of them were legacy HBO subs. That are
Those
ineligible.
numbers don't add up though. Those number that
Well, no,
that
because
puts you at
this actually
that puts you
shows
at
that they're ineligible for
almost
HBO Max.
35 million.
Yeah, this is weird.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
together,
it's not a big deal. I mean, obviously they're making money, like we said, with their
yeah.
profits only being down 28%. But
Well, it's still a big deal because if they're getting if this number for like the amount of subs that they have were not like if the new signups were a couple million, then they're like
Yeah.
far behind what even
Sure.
Peacock was doing, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a good point. I just don't see where it's actually. I don't know if they're releasing as much as that information in this article, unless I'm just overlooking it. Because I mean, it says legacy HBO and HBO Max subs together top 57 million total.
oh
So
wow,
yeah, which I mean that's crazy. But I
Yeah.
mean that just goes to it's weird though because like even with mine, like I used to have HBO through my cable provider because it was just like easier at that point. But then now I got it through Amazon because it was cheaper, just through like Prime TV and everything, which annoys it annoys the shit out of me because you can't just click on an HBO app on it. It's all built into your thing and you can't like browse it. It's really annoying. And but like I'm still able, like for whatever reason, my account for my cable provider does not have HBO, but I'm able to go and sign into HBO Max with that account. So like they still have my account enabled for some reason. And I was just like, I guess through a cable provider, a lot of your existing HBO's subscriptions were just automatically upgraded to HBO Max subscriptions. So that kind of inflates the number a bit, in my opinion, if they're going to say that 25.1 million of HBO Max users came from these wholesale agreements. That sounds like that it was like my situation with like getting it through cable was just so 25 million of them just were there. So then there's only 3 million people who have signed up for HBO Max at that point. Like, which I mean, I don't know. That doesn't seem like a lot, but either
then
way.
you said that you had that 57 million number that was down there. So,
which is this is a very confusing thing. Like as far as the numbers go. In the end, though, if they want to turn it around and get like higher ones, because I still think that's a pretty huge boon. That's far more than I expected them to have, considering they have no content, like really, and then they're not available on everything.
And the other thing we didn't talk about is it costs twice as much, at least over twice as much as Disney.
Yeah.
So when you're talking revenue wise, I mean that's almost the equivalent revenue wise of 60 million Disney subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Disney Plus is a good deal.
Yeah,
it's gonna be more expensive though. I guarantee you after next year.
Give them that first taste cheap, and then.
Oh yeah,
I mean that's what Netflix did for the longest time. You could get Netflix it was $8 for the longest time, $7.99.
Mm-hmm.
Then a year or two went by, and all of a sudden it's $9.99.
It's popular.
Yeah, and then it's like starts. Netflix is like or how much would we say they were in debt last week? Billions in debt. There's like $15 billion in debt or anything, something like that. So it's like they gotta get the money in somehow, right? No, that's just typically what they do is let's add $1 on here. It's like your taxes go up, and then with inflation, the same concept for them. So I don't know. I think that it'd be great for them to get more content though, and it would really help their numbers, especially if they just make themselves available on the other platforms. That's what they need to do. So that's pretty much all I had on that. So the question is, guys, what do you think? Are you kind of with me in the fact that like you think this 28.7 million is a pretty good number considering that they're not on the Roku's, they're not on the Amazon Fire Sticks? Also, though, again, this whole article about it is kind of confusing because it's saying like there's 28.7, but then there's like a combined total of old ones, and so it's like 50 something, and then yada yada. I don't know how accurate any of this really is, but it's still if you just look at the number by itself, it's a pretty big number, all things considered. So, like, what do you guys think? Do you think HBO is doing good right now with HBO Max, or do you think, kind of like me, like they really need to get some more exclusive content underway on there, and they can really bolster these numbers and get more on track with what Disney's doing right now and have like 60 million or something? So let us know down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So moving on to our next topic here. Like I said, this is going to be a pretty big DC newsworthy kind of show. So this is a real quick one. I just thought I'd share it with you because it was kind of news to me. I didn't even see it come up. But James Gunn has released the Empire magazine cover was tweeted out by James Gunn that featured the Suicide Squad on it, and I thought that was kind of gives us our first real good look at like other than like the sizzle reel trailer and everything that we got at DC Fandom. This is the first kind of look at all the characters, and they're all here on frame together. So I thought it was kind of cool to share that and
Look
talk about it.
at Weasel.
I know, like that still is. It's super crazy to me that we're like Weasel's gonna be in a freaking movie.
Weasel.
Like, so I don't know. I thought it's probably the only time. And King Shark too. I'm glad. It always bummed me out in the first Suicide Squad that they used Killer Croc and not King Shark. This never made sense to me.
Pete
Like-
Davidson does not look happy at all either.
I'm telling you, he's probably the one who dies.
Oh yeah, for sure. One of many, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a ton of them are gonna die, but yeah, for sure. I don't know. I'm psyched to see the movie. So I thought this was good though. Weasel looks insane. Like, he looks so weird, dude.
Is that a person in a costume?
No, it's CG.
What?
Like Rocket. The same guy who's playing Rocket, James Gunn's brother, is playing Weasel. So like whenever they got
John Gunn.
is that his name, John Gunn?
Empire's always got the good covers.
Yeah. So I mean, this is cool though. I like seeing this stuff, and we also like we covered before too. Oh yeah, Polka Dot Man. I think Polka Dot Man is gonna like steal the show in a lot
That's
of ways.
what I was gonna say.
They showed him like in the sizzle reel a lot, and I think that he's gonna have a lot of like good scene stealing moments, man. Especially because he has this one of those more obscure, like stupid powers. So like I think,
Dot Man.
yeah, I think they can just have a lot of fun with him. Like if you had to make a prediction before we move on here of this spread, who you got dying? Who do you think for sure is gonna die?
God, it might be easier to say who I think is going to live.
Very true.
I
True.
mean, Harley lives.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. King Shark lives. Captain Boomerang lives. That's it.
Right. That's it?
Those are the three. I don't know. Everybody else seems like.
Well, we
I don't
know
know.
John Cena's getting his own HBO Max thing, but it could very well be a prequel.
That's true.
It could-
Exactly. Yeah.
it
But
could
no, you're
indeed.
right.
Polka Dot Man, I think he'd live like Rob.
Well, I could see either him living or dying, because like it's always good for them to actually have a scene stealing character, but then kill him off.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
true.
I'm just looking on my phone here because I can zoom in a little bit more. But I'll say this. Okay, Idris Elba, Bloodsport. I think he lives, and here's why. Marvel killed him off. He doesn't have to go back and do Marvel movies anymore. So maybe he's now going to be a DC mainstay for at least a little while.
That's true.
So I'll give
Good
you that
point.
he sticks around for a little bit.
I don't think he's gonna live because who the cares about Bloodsport? Like,
Who cares about any of these people beyond Harley Quinn, though?
I don't know.
Right? I mean,
Boomerang and
good
King
point.
Shark are cool.
Oh, they're cool,
I
but
hope
like
Weasel
they're
lives.
not household names. Like
No,
nobody's going
but-
to see this movie. Like maybe
Yeah.
if they watch the Flash TV show, they know who King Shark is, but no, beyond that.
You know who's missing from this though? Amanda Waller.
Yeah, good point.
I don't think she's gonna die by any means, but
No.
I think though, if I had to say, I bet Rooker dies. Michael Rooker's character dies. Whoever this is probably dies.
Although also killed off in the Marvel universe, so
I know, but James Gunn likes to give Michael Rooker. I mean, you saw the the fandom panel. He was just rolling
Yeah.
on, just ribbing on Rooker the entire time. So I could totally see him like having much pleasure in killing him off. Pete Davidson's probably gonna die.
He doesn't. Yeah, he looks like he's gonna die.
Rat Trap 2 is probably gonna die.
I'll give you that. Well, yeah.
And
Javelin's
then Nathan
dead.
Fillion is probably gonna die too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man.
That's if I had to guess,
might
that
be
would be
easier
it.
picking out who's gonna live.
Although to be fair, I could see all of them dying, other than the core. Like what now is like the core, especially even with the Rocksteady Suicide Squad game coming out. It's Deadshot, excluding Deadshot. We got Harley, King Shark, and Captain Boomerang. I think those three are for sure gonna live. And then probably Rick Flag too, because this is Joel
Yep.
Kinnaman, and he stayed. He was in the first one, so now he's in this one. Higher chance of living, really, in my opinion, with that.
Sure.
I guess Mongal will probably live too, because I don't know, like why would she not? I guess they probably could kill her off though, just because like, they're really never gonna need Mongal.
Yeah,
again.
what are they gonna do with her character?
Yeah, so I don't see why you would really need to keep her around. But again,
Plus,
the
if
same
they're-
could be said for everybody on this list. Like,
Yeah. Plus, she's your way to bring Mongol into the DC EU. If they, if she does get killed off, he could come looking for revenge for a future film and something.
Yeah.
And
at this point, though, I don't know. Like, you really think DC's planning that far ahead?
no.
Yeah, they don't have a
DC's
track record showing for that, so I don't know. But
They have plans, but not that far ahead.
yeah, which is I'm totally fine with. I would like to see. You could do some cool stuff with Mongol, honestly, if you did like the whole World arc. Like, I think that would actually be kind of cool.
Yeah.
People would I know people out there would probably just think like this is a ripoff of Thor Ragnarok, but it's not. It's its own thing. But it is it is very similar to the Contest of Champions thing that they were kind of doing in some ways, but not really. Very different. But there would be some really cool stuff, especially with I mean, if they could do that, actually would be a cool movie though. Like if they did War World with like kind of like how they did it in Justice League animated show, but like really expanded on that. Just imagine Gladiator, but with Superman and the Justice League in it. You know, like I think that would actually be a pretty cool movie. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It also could probably be a pretty cool like 20-minute YouTube clip too. So I don't know if you get the whole movie out of it. But I don't know, guys. But that was pretty much it. I just thought this was cool. I think out of all this stuff, I'm still more shocked about Weasel existing.
I'm waiting for the trailer. I mean, is this an indication we're going to have a trailer soon? A real trailer? Or?
I would, if this was a year ago, yeah, but like at this point, what good is a trailer gonna do if you don't even know when you can release the movie?
That's true.
Sure.
But I think that's the big. I bet like we would probably already have had a trailer by now if they had a more clear indication of when they could even release the movie. Because it's like they don't want to. I don't think WB wants to make the same mistake they made for Godzilla King of the Monsters, where they dropped that trailer like a year in advance at Comic-Con, and then everyone was super hype about it. But then by the time the movie came out, no one was hype about it for whatever reason, and then the movie didn't do all that good in theaters, so like there was no good word of mouth coming out of the theater from seeing it. So just releasing the trailer too early can sometimes hurt it. I don't think Suicide Squad really has any worry about that. It has kind of a built-in fan base, with superhero comic book movies. Even the first Suicide Squad movie, despite how not super good it was, it still made like $800 million too. So I mean, it still was financially successful. So I don't really think it's going to be hurting for some good revenue at the box office, but kind of need a box office for that. So now we don't have that. So but that pretty much covers it for this, guys. What do you guys think about this first look at all the smiling happy faces of the Suicide Squad characters? Let me know if you're anything like me. Who do you think is actually going to die off this list here? Because I'm thinking that pretty much everybody, obviously everybody's on the table, but I could very well see everybody here dying except that core group of your OG Suicide Squad guys. Essentially, everyone from Suicide Squad 1, I think, is 100% safe. So everybody else, though, I think they're fair game for death. So you let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So moving on to our penultimate DC topic here today. We've gotten a while back. It was announced that Spotify and DC Warner Brothers made an exclusive deal to start producing scripted DC Comics content, which I thought was a pretty good idea because I mean, as long as they put a lot of production work into it and like yeah, I always like to use the example of the Star Wars audiobooks because they put a lot more production value into it other than just someone reading you the story. Like they have, if TIE fighters are flying through, they have TIE fighter sounds. If you're on like a manned bridge of a ship, you hear like beeps and boops in the background. They have ambient sounds and music and everything like that. And I really enjoy the audiobooks when they do that. I think that it just helps you dive into the world a little bit more, makes it a little bit more fun. So I thought this whole idea of DC branching out and making this exclusive deal to actually start producing scripted content like that, there could be an audience for it, and especially I don't know if putting it exclusively on Spotify would be the best thing for them, but I mean, Spotify was willing to pay them for it, so why not make the deal at that point? So I was just more excited about the content actually coming out, but we got our first uh taste or first hint of a little bit of news out of it, and that's David S. Goyer is going to be returning to the Batman franchise in the Batman Spotify audiobook podcast, whatever they're wanting to call it. Which if you're familiar with David Goyer or anything, he was on like the Dark Knight trilogy with Christopher Nolan. Written a bunch of there's a bunch of DC credits like that and everything. So I guess this Batman one is going to be called Batman Unburied. There's really no news about what the plot details are for it, but they just mentioned that they're going to be exploring the dark aspects of Bruce Wayne's psychology. So, and that's pretty
That's
much
interesting.
it. There's really no other news about that. But I mean, he was, like I said, with Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, Man of Steel, BVS. I mean, he's been heavily attached to Batman in some capacity in the DC world for quite some time now, last 10 years or so, if not more. So this is I don't know. I consider this to be some pretty good and exciting news, at least as far as this uh, scripted podcast thing with this thing that they're doing, this thing that DC is doing. I think this is a good step in the right direction for them because, like I said, I was as long as they were going to be actually putting some production value into it and like making them like good, not just reading you a comic book or anything like that. Like then I think this could be like a pretty cool little side venture of theirs, a little, new project. So getting someone, you know, may not be a big name like actor kind of guy attached to it, but like getting someone like a behind the scenes person who is this familiar with the franchise attached to it is a pretty good start. What do you guys think?
I like the idea of it. I think it'll be cool, and hopefully it does have that production value like you were talking about with Star Wars, the audiobooks. I don't know. It's interesting that they're doing that, going that direction with it, I would say.
'Cause, I mean, I
Yeah.
mean, this stuff used to be big and back in like the radio times,
Exactly.
That's
Like back in the what, like the 20s and 30s.
yeah, like because I always just go back to like the War of the Worlds thing, like when they
Yep.
were people thought that was like real and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I don't think
as
anybody
long
still
as they
thinks
put
Well,
it's
good
true.
value into it, I think it'd be cool.
well, and those things were huge back then, but they were also the only game in town. Now you have so many other things that you're competing with, and so I'm really curious what the audience for these are. I would think I would be like a huge Batman fan. The Dark Knight trilogy is my favorite. Well, yeah, it's my favorite movie series of all time. So, um, you know, Goyer being kind of one of the architects of that series, this sounds like it would be right up my alley. And while I'm interested in it, I'm not like running out and buying my Spotify subscription so that I have it ready to go day one. I think I'll probably maybe wait and see what the reception is to it.
Mhm.
Um, it's just it's an interesting thing to try. I'm really curious how it will play out though, what the audience is for it, and if people will go for it.
Yeah, I think this whole project of theirs, their venture into the scripted content, like in podcast, audiobook kind of form, is gonna live and die by the marketing for it. In all honesty, because like they can do, you can do whatever, they can put as much work into it as they want, but it's like you were saying, like who's the target demographic for it, and how are you going to make them aware for it? Because obviously this form of content isn't really what is popular right now.
Mm.
So it's going to be, they're definitely going to have to make people aware of it in some way. So it's gonna live and die by the marketing. But at least I think getting someone like Goyer associated with it is definitely,
Step in the right direction.
yeah, it piques my interest for a little more. Because like I said, if as long as these are like high produced, then like I think there could be an audience for it, because I appreciate, like I said, the Star Wars audiobooks are like the best modern example I have. Like they put a lot of extra like effort to really immerse you in the Star Wars world, and it's not just, the voice of someone reading off a page.
Are the Star Wars audiobooks, are those adapted from, like, the novels, or are those original content too?
No, like original content ones. Like the
Okay.
ones that are, yeah, not just the like movie adaptation ones, like the ones that are exclusive, like novel series, like Lords of the Sith, like all the ones that were just exclusive book stories. They I haven't listened to every single one of them, but like the
But they were
flawed one,
adapted
like,
they were adapted from the novels, right? They weren't originally scripted just for these audio.
oh yeah, 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 yeah. In that
Okay.
sense, yeah, they
So
were they were from the
that's
books.
yeah, so that's where, like, this being scripted and not having any other medium that it's coming out in, not being a comic book, not being a novel, um, and just being solely original content created in this for this medium is odd to me. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of what the audience, like, is this for the person, do they, is the expectation that people will get home from work at the end of the night and, have their dinner, and then after dinner they'll, instead of turning on the TV, they'll sit down and listen to the Batman book? Is
Right.
it the feeling that the people will, commuters will listen to this in the car on their way to and from their jobs? I'm just, the audience for this is really intriguing to me.
Yeah, and I think at least as far as I'm concerned, I would only ever really listen to the audiobooks and everything when I was in the car. When I was commuting somewhere, that was
Yeah.
like the prime time for me to do it. Um, and like I mean, if you're sitting in a lot of traffic, I find it like a lot of the times is a lot more enjoyable than listening to the same damn song that you always hear or
Well,
you've heard for the rest of your life.
back in the day, it would be like families would gather around the radio. They'd all sit there, they'd all listen to it and everything. And I don't think it's going to be anything like that by any means. Like you said, like when it comes to commuting and stuff, it gives you something different to listen to other than just like the same music. So, I mean, I really don't know. It's hard to say, but I just don't think your whole family is going to be sitting down around the radio,
Yeah,
like 1930s style, like tuning in.
right.
So,
And I mean, the other part of this too that that intrigues me is, I mean, Goyer being such a big name. I know he's not a household name the way Chris Nolan is, but he did co-write the Dark Knight and Batman Begins with Chris Nolan, and script those with him. Or no, he didn't script the Dark Knight, I think, but he plotted out the stories with Chris Nolan for them. And he also has a very substantial comic book, bibliography under his belt, and he comes from some very successful comic runs. So for them to take him and not give him a comic series, which, you know could equal hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales, and put him onto something like this, means that they have some faith that this will do well. It's just, how that translates, why they're choosing to put his story in this venue rather than another.
Right. And what I'm more curious about too, like, is because I said this kind of live and die by the marketing, but I think it'll also just how it is produced is still kind of in question to me as well. Because, like I said, um, like the Star Wars audio books, they are just like you were saying, they're just audio versions of the book. I'm wondering
Mhm.
if these are going to be actually more like true scripted audio and not reading off a page, or if it's going to be like multiple like voice actors doing like scripted scenes, like like watching a movie with your eyes closed. I wonder if it's
Yeah.
going to be more like that, or if it's going to be like I imagine it's going to have to be adapted in the more of an audio book kind of format. But I don't know. It's interesting because they could go a lot of different ways with it. But I mean, they're going to have like an overall narrator explaining the story, or are you going to be like listening? Are you going to be in Batman's head the whole time? Like I'm very interested in just how they're going to actually produce them at this point because like I don't know.
Can either of you think of anything that's being produced now that is in the same that's the same type of content? Like I know people are doing, people do their podcasts and whatnot, but I can't. I'm trying to think of like a scripted podcast series that's out there. That's
I can't think of anything.
I got nothing.
okay.
No, like that's why this was kind of like surprising they were going to go this route because like we were saying, it kind of makes sense when you're adapting like a book and you're just going to make an audio version for it. Like that all makes sense. Like this is like a new kind of almost just experiment for them to this adapt because they're telling original stories in this kind of unknown format. It's just I mean, I guess there are other ones though, because I mean, Goyer goes on to quote that, like in this article, that he has been a fan of narrative podcasts for some time. So, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there who like are doing a lot of scripted podcasts or whatever in some way. It's just not something that's like
It's not hugely
I'm
popular.
yeah, not that like I'm the know all be all of popularity, but like I don't know any of them. I'm obviously not the target demographic for any existing ones out there because I haven't heard of them. So that's why I said like this is going to really live and die by the marketing and how well it's produced and how good the story is too. Because if they market it well and it's a good story and it's produced well, then maybe people who aren't listening to audio, scripted podcasts right now would actually like want to dive deeper into that world because I mean, me being one of them, I aside from audiobooks, I've never really listened to any sort of narrative podcast in like this kind of fashion. So I don't know. I think we'll just have to wait and see. I'm looking forward to it now. At least with this, we're getting some news about David Goyer being attached to the Batman one. I think that's a good sign. So I don't know. So, question is, guys, what do you think about this? Did you guys even? I think we did a story about this back when it was first announced. That they were going to be actually producing this stuff on Spotify. Thought it was intriguing then, and I think now that we're getting at least, it's still kind of unclear on how it's going to be produced, but we're at least getting a first look of kind of how seriously they're taking it to some degree. If you're going out of your way to get someone like David Goyer to come in and actually do one of these, it's a step in the right direction. It's definitely someone who's experienced in the Batman lore in a lot of ways, so that excites me. So I'm just hoping that have to wait and see how well these things come out and how they do them. So whatever you guys think about this stuff, though, have you ever heard of any narrative podcast or anything like that? Are there any that you're listening to that we should check out or anything like that? Let us know down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So this brings us to our final DC news related topic today. And it's going to be a quick one, but I thought it was kind of interesting here. So for Wonder Woman Day, they released this sizzle reel. DC and Warner Brothers released a sizzle reel for it, and then John actually is one who brought this to my attention here. At the end of the little sizzle reel, I'll pull up here. So at the end of the little sizzle reel, you're greeted with this page. So like where it says "Coming soon, Wonder Woman 1984." But if right before here it said, oh, you can own all these, different Wonder Woman things now, yada yada yada, and then a couple of seconds later we get "Coming soon, Wonder Woman 84," and this is only intriguing really because it's like I know everyone's thinking like, well, no shit, dude, we know it's coming, but like the point being is that right now it's officially slated to be released on December 25th, so they went out of their way to not include that release date on here, which I don't know. Like John was saying off camera, this kind of is maybe an indication that they're definitely not going to be sticking to that release date. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I would assume not.
yeah. I mean, I don't know all the theaters are pretty much shut down now again because they didn't have any new things to show. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like at some point something's gonna have to stay in theaters in order for the theaters to remain open. But I think like the biggest problem is that like I don't know, some places like the theaters just generally weren't allowed to open, so that was kind of holding a lot of places back. And the places that were like, actually had theaters open,
I think
things
we're
like
heading.
Tenet didn't really do all that well.
Well, I think if anything, we're heading back towards like another shutdown, unfortunately.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
God, just who knows when?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
Well,
so
yeah,
many
I mean, you keep hearing these news stories about cases rising, and um,
deaths. And
it just like Rick was saying, it's you're leading. It almost feels inevitable that we're going to reach that tipping point where they start shutting stuff down again,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. But
I would almost bet on it. Like, yeah, it is
Yeah.
unfortunate.
Well, I was thinking a lot of places too, like I said, they haven't even been open really. So
well, and you saw just movie after movie. You saw Bond. We've talked about it. We saw Bond. We saw Black Widow. We've seen all these big name movies kind of set these dates for the fall, like, hey, okay, we'll reopen once things are reopened, we'll release these movies. But then Tenet comes out and it doesn't do the business that I think a lot of people were hoping it would do. And I think a lot of people saw the writing on the wall and decided, you know what, 2020 is a wash. Let's move everything to 2021. And
True.
I was shocked because my recollection of it was that you heard that Bond was moved, and then you heard that Black Widow's moved to next year. And I thought for sure you would hear within a few days, if not a week, that Wonder Woman was also moved. And up until now, there has been no official word that Wonder Woman is moving from her Christmas Day release. But this sizzle reel that they release, I mean, there's no way in the world that they release a sizzle reel for Wonder Woman Day and fail to include the actual release date for the movie if they have one.
exactly, because
Yeah.
that's the thing. If you look up Wonder Woman 1984 release date right now, it still says December 25th, 2020. So
See
they
about
haven't
that.
bumped it back. As they're still officially saying that that's it. So I don't know. I definitely think though that this definitely is speaking to the contrary. In all honesty, because I mean, this came out on October 21st, so just a couple days ago. This was presumably, yeah, maybe they had this done and in the can for a month or so, and just waiting to release it on Wonder Woman Day. Even so, you think they
It's a
would have still put the date on there?
Yeah, it's a graphic. There's no way they can't go.
Right.
They could have gone in 10 minutes before this sizzle reel was dropped and changed that graphic to be, December 25th, coming
Yeah.
December. So
Yeah.
that's very intentional on their part.
Yeah. I'm thinking this is definitely the first inadvertent indication from them that Wonder Woman is going to be pushed back, and they're probably not even going to put a date on it when they push it back. They're probably just going to indefinitely push it back.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what Bond did. And
Yeah.
do what?
It'll say something like summer 2021, something
Yeah,
like that.
just coming 2021. Like
Yeah.
leave it ambiguous and just because like who knows? Like because if things are going the way they're going, there's plenty of people who thought this would all be over by April, right? So it's
Elon
not.
Musk did.
Yeah, it's not, and so
Almost the birthday.
yeah, it's almost been like it's sometime in November, right?
Just like late November, early December. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. It's definitely, and then like too, there's always been the people saying that like despite what a lot of the media says, and most of the scientists are saying that even if there was a vaccine, it wouldn't be available till like December 2021. I've seen reported like to be
Crazy.
readily available to everybody actually being able to have it. So it's like one might be available, some people might be able to get it sooner, but not across everywhere, and that's still going to impact places like theaters from being open. And like if the theaters aren't open, the studios can't put the movies out. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Question is, guys, what do you think? Are you kind of agree with us here that this is like I said, the kind of the first indication that we're getting from Warner Brothers that Wonder Woman is inevitably going to be delayed again, probably until indefinitely till 2021, because that's kind of what we're thinking on this one. So whatever you guys think, let us know down in the comment section below. All right, guys. So moving into our first non-DC related topic in some capacity here is we got our first look at Tom Holland in the upcoming Uncharted movie. So him as Nathan Drake, we got our first look at that. So I don't have a whole lot of information, but I'll tell you what. I mean, when I first saw him, I was like, "That looks like Nathan Drake."
I was just about to say, it looks like Nathan Drake.
So I mean, they got the outfit down to a T. I mean, look, that's pretty much it. He's got the necklace. He's got the necklace. He's got the button down shirt. I mean, it's like the holster. He's missing the scarf though, so everybody is gonna freak out. I'm surprised no one's freaking out already. Is like that's not him.
The
They got the
buttons aren't the
costume wrong.
same.
Yeah,
The buttons aren't the same on the shirt. Come on.
his V-neck Henley thing is a lot deeper than his. Like they're messing this up.
Well,
This
the
is
other thing
accurate.
is Nathan Drake doesn't look like a 17-year-old kid either, but that's like my only complaint, really.
Tom Holland's 24, dude.
But he looks like a 17-year-old kid.
Well, they had that one. Didn't they have like a prequel mission game? Like, was it
Yeah.
just a DLC
And-
or a whole game?
Well, in the last one, you play as a young Nathan Drake.
Ah.
There you go. There you go, hater Rick.
Well,
But,
here. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I was
What
just
were you
gonna say, like, one of the things that like this, I can't begin to express how excited I am about this movie. I love video games, and Uncharted is probably in my top 3 series video games of all time. I mean,
There's a lot of
it's
people's, yeah.
so good. So I'm super pumped about this. This really could be the Indiana Jones of this generation. And I think we need that. We need something to fill the void that Indiana Jones left. I know that we might get another Indiana Jones movie at some point, but if it's based
Don't hold
off
your
of,
breath.
yeah. But anyway, I will say this: while I had always pictured Nathan Fillion in the role of Nathan Drake,
Many
and
did, yeah.
a lot of people did. I understand why they would go with Tom Holland. He is only 24, so if this movie does well, if they adapt these movies well, he'll be able to play this role for the next 2 decades. I mean, we'll be able to without having those, as long as they're able to keep the quality, they could serialize these movies and have a really good franchise on their hand, with a good young actor attached to it that isn't going to age out of it as quickly as, say, if they had gone a Nathan Fillion route or something like that.
Yeah,
True.
So I'm excited by that, and I'll say, just based on that first, it looks like Nathan Drake. I'll also say Tom Holland looks a lot more rugged than he doesn't look as baby faced and as young as he does when he's
Right.
playing Peter Parker. So I like that. I was much more impressed by this because when I heard the initial casting, I was like, well, hopefully the movie's good because my
Right.
casting excitement was kind of muted. But this got me pretty hyped up for it.
Well, did you watch? I recently just saw him in The Devil All the Time on Netflix. Have you watched that?
I haven't watched it yet.
Well, he plays. If you want to get if for anybody who just can't get past, like Rick, for you, for instance, who just can't get past, Tom Holland being like a baby face, looking as young as he does or whatever. Watch The Devil All the Time. He's really good in it. He's definitely playing the opposite of Peter Parker. Like he's a completely different kind of character as Peter Parker, and it's really the first thing that he's really been in other than Spider-Man that like he kind of like, I don't want to call him like the lead because like the way the movie is structured, like he becomes the lead, but they do a lot of backstory stuff leading up to when he finally comes into the movie. So, but he was in there with Robert Pattinson and what was his name? Jason Lewis. And there's a ton of people in the movie. The movie was so, but it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. Tom Holland's good in it, and after seeing him in that, it warmed me much more up to the idea of him playing a younger Nathan Drake. Because like you hit the nail on the head. They obviously want to make a franchise out of this because they know like this is made by Sony, the same people who make the game. They know how popular this franchise is and what it has the potential of being. And like Indiana Jones is a good example to kind of tie it to. That's exactly what it could end up being as a modern day Indiana Jones. I'm curious though too, and I haven't played all the Uncharted games, so but I heard that there were like in I think the earlier versions of the game, there were like some supernatural-esque elements Is that true?
Yeah, there's definitely some supernatural stuff going on. They've got, like, these snow beasts that are in one of the series, so, yeah, there's a supernatural element to it that but, I mean, nothing more far-fetched than opening the Ark of the Covenant
Yeah.
or, things like that, so I think that that type of thing works well within these, high adventure, archaeology,
Laura Croft
historical.
and
Yeah, exactly.
do you think they're gonna go that route or keep it even more
Grounded.
just more of a swashbuckling adventure with just, set in today's world?
We'll see. I mean, I hope they just dive into it. I hope they don't try and adjust the formula. I don't expect them to adapt any of the games directly. And I think they may be doing themselves a disservice if they do that. But I hope that they at least keep the tone and feel of it, which it is very much swashbuckly,
Right.
kind of high adventure, but it's just such the games have such a brilliant mix of real emotion to them, but also great comedy, and great action. So they balance it all out very well, at least in the games. I'm hoping that they're able to translate that balance to the screen.
Yeah. Well, let's think. Hopefully, this will be the first truly good video game adaptation because I mean the Laura Croft movie, the most recent one, was probably the best that we've gotten, but there's just been so many
Misses.
disappointments. Yeah, like
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat, aside from the first one, well, the first movie, I mean, is still it's terrible, but it's good. It's terrible in all
So
the
good it's
right ways.
bad, or
Yeah,
so
it's
bad
so
it's good.
yeah, exactly. And it's like it's just a joy to watch that first Mortal Kombat movie. But I mean, everything since then. I mean, the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies were a little bit ridiculous. The Warcraft movie was probably my biggest disappointment. One being such a big Warcraft fan, so that one kind of hurt. But it had its upsides and downsides to it. And like, what? And then Resident Evil, like
Don't even.
terrible adaptations. We just can't seem to get. I guess though too, we have to include Sonic in some capacity, right? That was very well received. It's not really the same kind of adaptation, I would say, though, because it was more of like I felt like I haven't watched Sonic yet, so I can't really speak too much on it, but it felt more like a Detective Pikachu kind of thing, and I don't really consider Detective Pikachu a video game movie. It has video game characters in it, but is it really a video game movie? Like I felt like Sonic was kind of the same way, but like I haven't seen it, so it's just Sonic in a game. Sonic, you just run around and grab the coins, so it's like that's not really what the movie was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to include it, I understand including it as a good one, but I don't know. Assassin's Creed is probably the worst one so far, though. I think we could all probably agree on
So bad.
best potential because you had Michael Fassbender in there, like who's an incredible actor,
Such a
and
waste.
yeah, that's just very disappointing. Because that could have been a huge thing too. Like they got so many different stories they could tell with the Assassin's Creed thing. I don't know, but I think this looks pretty good too, honestly. He looks just like Nathan Drake, so I'm looking forward to it. Question is, guys, what do you think about this? Are you still on the fence about Tom Holland and playing Nathan Drake and it being a younger one? I'm in like John's John's company here with they want this to be a franchise, obviously, so it makes the most fiscal and logical sense for them to cast someone who is Tom Holland's age. He could be playing this role for the next 10 years. When with you they would have had Nathan Fillion do it. You're not going to get those kind of results on it, just unfortunately. And then same like Mark Wahlberg's playing Sully, and he was initially attached to play Nathan Drake to it when they were talking about doing this movie like 5-10 years ago. So I mean that is kind of cool that they kept him for it. So, but anyways, you let us know what you guys think of this down in the comment section below. We think it looks pretty good. All right, guys. So our penultimate topic of today's show is going to be the release of Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon trailer, the first look. They initially played like some sort of trailer, a sizzle reel back at D23, but that was not released to the public or anything, and I was not there, so I don't know. But there were a lot of good things said about Raya. A lot of people were like saying that Raya and the Last Dragon at D23 at least stole the whole event. Like it was it was the best thing out of D23 this past year. So my interest had been pretty peaked in seeing it. and seeing what this thing was all about because, like I said, I had no idea what it was about. But we got our first look at everything here, and we all had a chance to watch the trailer. What did you guys think of the trailer? Because I think the one thing that I'll say, like, because I still don't really know much about the overall plot other than they're looking for a dragon to savor people or whatever. But the biggest takeaway for me was one, they didn't show the dragon, kind of
True.
lame. Two, um, the animation looks amazing.
The animation looked incredible.
Like it's like the work they did with Moana, and then it just got even better with Frozen 2. Like, say what you want about either of those movies, the animation of both of them looked incredible, and like some of the scenes in Frozen 2 looked phenomenal. Like just CG wise, especially like if you guys didn't see the movie, the first clip they ever released with like Elsa running on the water, like dude, I was blown away by that. This is like the fluid animations and everything that they did, like it just looked incredible. But the third takeaway I had from it is that I really liked the actual character designs in this because I've not been a big fan of the weird, like stick figure esque body structures that Disney does with their like animated characters. Like if you look, like they always have like very large heads, very tiny little necks. Their eyes are always big. It's almost like an anime kind of vibe, but it's always just weird, and it's I've just never really been too big of a fan of it just because it's like you're going for, like, at least with how good the animation's going, it's such, like, hyper realism for, like, all the scenery and stuff, and then you have, like, this character who just looks animated because, like, all the proportions are wrong. Their necks are as big as someone's wrist, and then their head is, like, bigger than their torso. That's kinda weird. Like, I'm being a little bit dramatic about it. It's not like that, exaggerating a bit, but that was I really just liked how these character models looked as when compared to like the Moana character models and the Frozen ones. So
Proportionally speaking, yeah, they definitely look much better.
yeah. But what do you guys think? Did you like the trailer?
The trailer was good.
The music was
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I'm
the
not a
music's
huge
really good.
Disney animated movie fan, but I mean, it looked cool. Yeah, and the music was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Moana though, in all honesty. Like, I thought Moana was a good movie.
Oh
And,
yeah,
and then Frozen 2 is okay.
yeah.
Like I didn't think it was fine. It was
I'm a Disney kid. I grew up on all the Disney movies, Lion King and Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast and all those and stuff. And so, I'm in for Disney movies going forward. And I like you said, I liked Moana. I liked Frozen. They're good movies. Moana probably more than Frozen,
yeah.
but um, but again, I'm not a young girl, which I think it was the target audience for that.
True.
But they're still good. They do an excellent job. Disney has really found a formula that works with adding enough humor in it into these movies that adults can go in and get some. I think they really pulled this from Pixar. I think Pixar kind of set the tone or set the template for how to make really good children's films nowadays. Things that are maybe the intended audience is kids, but the adults can watch and enjoy as well. And I think that this movie looks like it's going to continue that. And even the action scenes look really intense and exciting. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
They've definitely found a much better balance, I think, evolved from like the older Disney like animated things where they made them more family movies.
Mhm.
Like I felt like before, like they were like, yeah, everybody could watch them, but like go back and actually watch the old animated ones. Like they are very like kid oriented, like the content, and like they might be telling like more, like Lion King might be more of like an adult-esque story, but like the dialogue, the way the movie is, like everything about it was very like it's not really oriented for adults to get too much enjoyment out of, in my opinion. Mainly with like the older ones, like your Mickey Mouses and stuff, and all that stuff was
Sure.
like it was very much kid oriented. And yeah, the last ones there was definitely been a lot more fun than I think Pixar has definitely kind of changed the landscape on, because that's kind of how ever since the Pixar films blew up, that's how all the DreamWorks, all the animation studios started like really evolving how they told these more like kid-oriented stories and making them a lot more fun for the family. So, but yeah, I thought it looked pretty good. I'm definitely more curious to see what the dragon looks like I
True.
like dragons, and you say a movie is Raya and the Last Dragon, and I want to see the dragon.
Give me the damn dragon.
Yeah, show the damn dragon. So, but question is, guys, have you had a chance to check out the Raya and the Last Dragon trailer? I don't know if this is apparently different than what they showed at D23, so I can understand like the hype coming out of D23 being a little bit different than like this having the hype, because I don't feel like there's been too much excitement or talk about this trailer. Definitely not as much as there was back when they showed what they showed at D23, which has me also just kind of wondering, like, why didn't you just play whatever that sizzle reel was, or at least some of the content from whatever that trailer was, because that seems to have gotten a little bit bigger of a pop. But I don't know. I didn't see it. So, what did you guys think of the trailer? We thought it looked okay. Animation was good. Let us know down in the comment section below. All right, guys. Our final topic for today's show is we got news that December 1st will be the final day that the Quibi service, the Quibi streaming service, is going to, December 1st will be the last day that it's going to exist. So it's gone as soon as it came, and as quick as their little short videos are, this thing is gone. And,
Gone in a Quibi.
yeah, it's gone in a Quibi. Do you remember when, like, they were advertising for it? They had one of the, like, it was honestly like a super cringy, like, commercial in a lot of ways, where they were like, someone was making dinner or something, and they were like, "Oh, how long is this gonna take?" And it's like, "It'll take four Quibbies."
Yeah.
Like they were gonna say, like, who the hell is going to adapt like normal dialogue into like warping it around a Quibi? Like that's not going to happen, and that's a little bit, you're biting off more than you can chew if you think people are going to start working that into like their everyday life.
Not
Like,
gonna happen.
yeah, let me judge my walk to the the train station on how many Quibbies I can get in. A little bit much.
And yeah, I mean, Google didn't come out and people didn't start saying, they didn't tell people, "Hey, go Google this." People started saying, "I'm going to Google this," because the what they were getting was worth adapting into their vernacular. It
Yeah.
wasn't like it was forced upon them like Quibi was trying to do.
Yeah, that's why I was just like, yeah, okay. And then not to mention too, the weird thing is, like, like I understand kind of where they were coming from with the service. I didn't sign up for it. I had no desire. None of it looked very interesting to me. So like I'm at fault for its demise. I'm included in it because it's not just me. There's obviously like no one signed up for it. One thing that was kind of interesting with this too, and which was kind of like stupid in a lot of ways, is the guy who I think it was Jeffrey Katzenberg, one of the main guys behind the service. In a quote, he blamed the coronavirus as being one of the reasons for its failure, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense
Sounds
because
like
every
bullshit.
other streaming service had skyrockets in their numbers due to the coronavirus. So
Sounds like some bullshit.
yeah, it's a little bit of no, dude. It's just the idea, unfortunately, just didn't turn out the way that you hoped.
That is somebody not taking responsibility for their failure right there. That is
Yeah.
somebody trying to pass the buck
Yeah.
and doing so poorly. It's
a
not
cop-out.
surprising the service did poorly when those are the kind of evaluations that you're coming up with why your service didn't, survive.
Yeah, because this came out around the I mean, it was 6 months ago, came out. What else came out around the same time? Didn't like Peacock came out just a
Peacock,
couple
yeah.
months ago, and then HBO Max came out. None
Yeah.
of them are shutting their doors. Like none of
Yeah.
them are hurting because of it. Like streaming numbers across all platforms went on a rise because of this.
Well, it's so
So
many, and you would think so many people's daily work got shifted to these Zoom meetings and conference calls and things like that. You would think Quibi would be right in everybody's wheelhouse at that point because, hey, in between meetings, I can watch a quick episode of the show. Or,
mhm.
if the service was worth it, then you would have thought this would have been a tailor-made scenario for them to have success, and they didn't. Personally, I found the little snippets that they showed, the little trailers or snippets of their segments, to be very intriguing. There was one with, I think, Chris Hemsworth's brother, or
Yeah,
maybe
Liam.
it was, yeah, Liam. That it looked like an intriguing show, like something I would want to watch. But then it's, on this weird new service, and you can only get it on the app. I think at one point, like you had to have the Quibi app in order to access
Well,
it. You couldn't.
that's the thing. It wasn't just the Quibi app. The app was exclusive to mobile devices only. which is
Yeah.
their biggest mistake, in my opinion, because so many people watch YouTube, your Netflixes, all this stuff. They watch that on their TVs, like their smart TVs. Like,
Yeah.
like not everybody wants to have, like, why would you pull out your little tiny phone to watch a movie or to watch a show that you're trying to get really into? I get the concept of like they had a cool concept with, having the vertical and portrait and landscape like camera angle, so when you could change it, like if you went sideways and you would see the landscape full widescreen picture and like whatnot. So like that was a cool little concept, but the fact that they didn't have it, like everybody knows that the best viewing experience is this, okay?
Yeah.
Like you go to landscape mode. I always hate when people sit there and you see them taking pictures like this, portrait mode. Nobody wants their pictures like this. Movies are in a landscape wide frame for a reason. That's the best for your eyes, okay? That's just the best viewing experience is that. The fact that they wanted to, like, I think their biggest pitfall was them like exclusively making this a mobile device only thing. Like the fact that they just had no option for you to have it on anything TV related, I think was a really stupid mistake. And then not to mention with the whole format, I don't really know, it was never proven to be a successful format, like these short, like 10-minute episodes, of content, like especially dramatic content. It, for like comedy stuff, it's kind of exists in a lot of way, like comedy skits, like web series. Like this short form content isn't new. I mean, go to YouTube; there's tons of it. But as far as actually like highly produced, like dramatic stuff, I don't think anybody's ever really wanted that. I mean, most people, at least I know, are like looking for more. Like, you don't go to watch like you're talking like watching a trailer as opposed to watching a whole movie. And it's like for dramatic content, I feel like when you limit it to imagine watching 10 minutes of Game of Thrones episodes. Who's asking for that? I don't know. I just that whole concept, I don't think it really works for all storytelling.
Well, and because I never got into it, I don't know how many episodes or how many, segments there were in these things. But let's say there's, you know, 10 segments of a show and they're all coming at 10 minutes apiece. So you've got 100 minutes of content for that one series. Like maybe you start it on your phone. Maybe you're sitting at the doctor's office waiting. You pull up Quibi and you pop your AirPods in and you watch that first segment and you're like, oh, wow, this is really good. I wonder what happens next. You don't go home that night and sit in front of your $2,000, 4K TV and go, I'm not going to turn that on. I'm going to pull my phone out and watch,
True.
the rest of it on my phone. You want to be able to pop your TV on there and sit there and binge watch the rest of the episodes that are available. You want to knock that all out at once. So I get the idea behind it. It just very poor execution. I think very limited in their idea of how it would be consumed.
Yeah, again, I just don't know who was really asking for it either. I mean, not that
Yeah.
like new things. I don't appreciate someone like they put a lot of money into this, and like I definitely applaud them. And Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman, they've been very successful producers in Hollywood for a long time. So I don't fault them. If anything, I applaud them for coming up and actually putting their money where their mouth was and trying to do something new and everything. I just don't think they really did enough of their like enough market research to see like who really like wanted something like this, because in my mind I never found it appealing at all. Like I don't want to watch 10 minutes worth of something. I've always been much more of a fan of more long form content than I am with quick stuff, because there's only certain things that work in these quick little bite-sized doses. And I had a theory too. Do you think they came up with the name because it's like an anagram or amalgamation of quick bite,
That's a good
like a
good
quick bite
idea.
of content?
I mean,
Like I
that
feel
that's
like I,
Could
I was
yeah,
thinking about that the
definitely.
other day. I was like, because I was like, what the hell even is a Quibi? Like, what? Where do you come up with that name? And somehow I don't know. It just clicked in my mind that like quick bite. Like it just seems like, which is just kind of, I don't know. The name was not very good. I don't know who was really asking for, or who really ever wants such short form content. So I'm not really surprised that it didn't really take off that well. But I know they were definitely trying. They've got a lot of these big A-list stars, so they like do all this stuff. So I mean, kudos for trying. And it's a shame that it wasn't successful, because I'd rather there be more forms of content out there. But I mean, to be fair, as much as I'd love for there to be more content out there, I'm already drowning in the amount of content that is available. So, and there's still this like so much I haven't even been able to watch. Like I don't know, it's just and things. The streaming wars are taking off because we got the Peacock thing now. We got HBO Max. It's more and more is just coming, man. Paramount's getting their own streaming service because they're getting rid of CBS All Access and they're making Paramount Plus, Apple Plus. Like it's too much sometimes.
Yeah,
You know?
seriously.
So like you'd think that their little quick bites here, their Quibbies would have had a place somewhere, but guess not.
Well, and like you said, they had really good content creators involved with it. I mean, there were some big names involved with this stuff, and I was surprised that they weren't able to find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
Do you think all the content is just dead now? Like everything that was on it is just lost to the ether, or do you think that content gets shuffled off to some
Sounds
other
like
site?
it's
I
gone.
think it's going to purely depend on what if like Netflix, for instance, were to see value in continuing one of them,
Mhm.
maybe. But I think it's going to be hard to say with like the way this is shutting down because it's not like they're getting bought out. So like the people at Quibi would maybe have no reason. I think it'd really be up to the showrunners of these shows to go and try to pitch the continuation of it more so
Mhm.
than like Netflix saying that did really well because they don't know if it did really well. I'm sure Quibi isn't releasing how many viewers they were actually getting for each show. So I'm sure the people behind these shows would know how successful they were in some way. And if they think that, it could be, you could live on somewhere else, then I think it's going to unfortunately fall on them to go and try to keep it alive if they wanted to. Because
Yeah.
no other place is going to all we see and all Netflix sees is that the platform failed. So, like, is it a fault of the show or is it just the platform? It's kind of hard to say, Like, I don't know if Netflix is really jumping at the gates to buy the scraps of Quibi,
Yeah.
But there could be great content there that just maybe like wasn't suited for like short. Like I said, I just don't think this kind of content is well suited for short form
Yeah,
viewing.
I agree.
Like, I just don't. I don't agree with that. And I think
Having
that's
just
the big.
your entire streaming service is based around just like a shtick that, hey, we're unique because of this. Like,
Yeah.
So is YouTube. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's like I don't know, like I feel like there's just a place for certain things and like I said, 10 minutes worth of Game of Thrones doesn't sound good.
No, doesn't sound appealing at all.
Like and especially like and I don't know too like at what their release schedule was like. Were they doing this like daily or weekly? Cuz like you watch 10 minutes of something and then expect to like be hyped for it and like have to wait
A
for a
week
whole
later.
week. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's
Only on your phone.
yeah.
Top of that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there were a lot of I don't know. I applaud them for trying to do something new, but I think that it was just a little bit mismanaged. Maybe if they didn't spend so much money on it and just tried to use I don't know, just make good short form content as opposed to just put all these big stars in it so that'll get people to do it. Like, no, it wasn't that. Like, so I don't know. I don't know. I would say we'll just have to wait and see, but I guess if anything, we'll have to wait and see if any of these shows will live on because I think that was a good kind of point to bring up. Like, I don't know if like what the demand was for these shows that were on there, but it'd be interesting to see if anything comes out of if anything lives on another platform.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see that. So, but that will do it for us here today, guys. What do you think about Quibi shutdown? Were you surprised about it? Because I mean, I'm more surprised that it was this quick. I guess I can comment on that. Like I think it is better for them to go ahead and shut the doors now rather than to keep hemorrhaging money out of the thing. So at least now they're shutting it down and they're able to like give money back to the investors and everything. They're not going to lose like as much money as they would if they just kind of kept bleeding this thing out like MoviePass did, kind of thing. So that's good. Let me know down in the comment section below if you had Quibi. I don't know anybody who even subscribed to Quibi. I don't know what shows were on there. Do you think that there's any shows that were on there that were worth being picked up or continued on? Whatever it is, you let us know down in the comment section below. So Rick, where can everybody find you online, good sir?
Check out Sir Rick Metz on Instagram. Follow me. Look at the random stuff I post.
Yeah.
Nothing too special, but
You're starting up an OnlyFans though too, right?
oh hell yeah, man!
Yeah, that's
Let's make some money doing that. Some money. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm really.
Yeah, we're not.
You wouldn't.
No. All right, John, where can everybody find you online?
I'm over on the Twitters, Nightwing_J. If you disagree with me on something, come over and tell me about it. Or you can do. I found out today that somebody has blocked me on Twitter. It was just real random. I saw somebody else's tweet commenting on something somebody said, so I clicked on it and I found out I was blocked. And I did a search of my tweets, and I've never had any interaction with this person. So you
weird.
can randomly block me and send me into a tizzy for like a half hour trying to figure out what I did to piss somebody off enough to block me. So
That's funny. It's definitely confusing when you go back and look at it, and you're just like, dude, you're Thanos, right? Like, I don't even know who you are. Like, why am I blocked
yeah,
right now? What's your problem?
what did I do?
Yeah. But you can find me, everyone, at just at Sir Rob Bifo. Don't forget, you can submit topics and questions to the show by emailing us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. That's honestanduneducated@gmail.com. Other than that, stay tuned. We got me and Rik have been doing some live streams, and then John, we might play some Squadrons tomorrow, right? What time are you thinking for that if you want to do it?
Post 8 o'clock, sometime after 8 o'clock, but
Right.
I should be pretty open after that.
Well, stay tuned for live stream. I've been playing some World of Warcraft and been playing some Squadrons with John, so that's coming up maybe on typically on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. One of those days is probably when it's going to happen. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to check out the podcast version of the show. If you can't always catch it on YouTube, like and subscribe to do all that good stuff. Share it with your friends. Do whatever it takes. It always helps. But until next time, guys, that'll do it for us. Take care.